Celebrating entrepreneurs and creativity. Talking business, pleasure, real life get together. Join us here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another episode of the Creative Entrepreneurs Podcast. You know how we do it, where we look at turning creativity into careers and passion into profit. I'm just so proud to be here today. I just want to shout out really quickly our sponsors, Route 36. Always amazing. Their production levels are always insane. I'm just really thankful that they have chose the Creative Entrepreneurs Podcast to sponsor and be a part of. So shout out to Sean, Matt and the entire team behind the production. But moving forward and getting to the nitty gritty, I am super proud, happy, excited to announce our next guest, who is just an all-round insane hustler, entrepreneur. That's just the definition of a go-getter, motivational speaker, mindset coach, founder of a sports brand, founder of a social enterprise that's doing amazing things and amazing work internationally. Award-winning entrepreneur Cordell Jeffers. Welcome. How are we?
Thank you so much for having me. That was an amazing intro, actually. By the way, I love that. Actually, you could do it again. No, I'm joking. Thank you for having me here today, True. I'm so happy and grateful to be on this platform as well. It's an amazing setup, and I'm just excited, man. Let's crack on, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. We're gonna get into it. As you know, the podcast really is all around, looking at entrepreneurs, looking at taking a deep dive into their careers, any challenges, and just getting content and value that can help up and coming entrepreneurs monetize their talents and their creativity, and that's why I love this podcast so much. So I know Cordell. I've kind of witnessed the growth in Cordell for many years. So for those people or those of our listeners who do not know who Cordell Jeffers is, and honestly, all you have to do is Google him. But for those who don't know who Cordell, just explain a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, so 29 years old now, from Birmingham. I'm entrepreneur. So my journey kind of started, I'd say kind of turbulent, in school education. I wasn't really fit for the educational system. So I was dyslexic. So I was always kind of like behind my peers in class, always kind of in the lower sets and stuff like that. I was more creative. I was more of a creative person. That led me to feeling quite frustrated, clashing with teachers. Teachers didn't really believe in me at the time. I used to get told some things from some teachers, like, you wouldn't really amount to anything if you continue like this. I'd say it was a bit of both. I would say I was rebelling, but I'd also say, the teachers didn't really take the time out to understand me as a person either, because I wasn't a bad guy, if you know what I mean. Little things were happening. I'm always getting kicked out of class for speaking. So it's funny now that I'm a motivational speaker. I got kicked out of school by the time I was in year 9, so I was about 14. I got kicked out, left with no qualifications. I couldn't get a managed move at the time, trying to get managed move to different schools, but because we was going into GCSEs, other schools didn't really want to get disturbed, basically. They didn't want their classrooms to get disturbed, so it was quite tough. My mum then decided to send me to the Caribbean. Now, my mum was always strict, do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, so my mum was strict. But I thought, do you know what I mean? Getting kicked out of school, the last thing I thought is my mum was going to try.
So it was going to the Caribbean like a holiday, or what?
She sent me over there to live with my grandparents because she thought that she wanted me to learn a lesson, number one, for getting kicked out of school.
Wow.
And number two, she thought that if I take a step back from, what's going on here, like in the education system here, she thought it would just be another learning experience for me. So she sent me out there, and at the time I hated it. I didn't want to go. I'm 14 years old. Do you know what I mean? I've got my friends. I'm popular. I've got my girlfriend, stuff like that. I don't want to go at all. But she sent me over, and even though I hated the decision, I tried to do everything not to go. I hid my passport, everything. But you know, I had to end up going over there. Most people think the Caribbean. They probably think, you know, you're nice beaches, tropical, reggae music, all of that. But what people vision, it wasn't my reality. Like, I was put into an environment where I was uncomfortable, number one. You know, a whole different culture. And also what I seen was, you know, extreme poverty as well. Do you know what I mean? And but that shifted my mindset while I was there. So even though I hated this decision, while I was there, I realized it was possibly one of the best decisions of my life. It was like a learning curve. You know what I mean? Seeing people come out of shack houses, have nothing. You know what I mean? When we was going to school, all the lessons were underneath the tree, things like that. Do you know what I mean? That was what I seen, because it was a small island, St. Kitts and Nevis actually. So yeah, that was a mad shift. I decided that I wanted to come back after about 1.5 years over there. My mum said, you know, she feels like I've learned, and she could see the growth in me, and she decided to send me back. But my mum stayed over there with my little brother. And that was tough as well, because I was leaving my parent. Do you know what I mean? My dad wasn't around at the time, so leaving my mum to come back to the UK, I was thinking, well, how am I going to do this alone? But I knew that decision was going to turn me from a boy into a man, in a sense. Do you know what I mean? Even though I was still young, but that 1.5 years was a massive shift for me. Do you get what I'm saying? So leaving my mum out there was tough. I came back, I lived with my auntie in Neutrals in Birmingham. Again, as you know, they say it's a disadvantaged area. You know, a lot of crime. So my friends now have gone from little things on the playground to more things that are criminal activity. So I was thinking, how do I just take everything I've learned and all my experiences from the Caribbean and share it in an environment that don't really support that? Do you get what I mean? It was quite difficult. And yeah, so for a good 1.5 years being around my friends and living in Neutrals, I was kind of being a follower. Do you know what I mean? Like, in a sense, I got into that quite easy, but I had to shift. I had to really remember, do you know what? I need to just turn everything around, because I've left my mum over there, and I gave her a promise that I was gonna, you know, make her proud and stuff like that. So then I got a teacher gave me a book, my first book, which was Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I read that book, and obviously it taught me, you know, your financial management, the difference between assets and liabilities, the different, and just basically saying, like, you know, not everybody that's educated actually, you know, build financial wealth. Do you know what I mean? And I learned about entrepreneurship, and I thought, you know what, I love this concept. And that book, honestly, that was the first ever book that I've ever read, like, period. So taking in that information and trying to apply it, I thought, you know what, I'm going to take action. First thing that I'd done, I was about 16 years old, saved all my EMA money. Now, people might be a bit too young to understand what EMA is, because you don't get it no more.
What was it? Education maintenance allowance?
Yeah, so we used to get £30 a week for going to college on time. I saved all my EMA money for about 3 months. And then what I'd done is I brought some electronics from China. I was buying like GHD hair straighteners. I was buying like Ugg boots, all these little products, but then I was selling them on eBay for profit. And I was making some good money. And before I even had a job, I was making like £300-400 a week at 15, 16 years old. And I was thinking, wow, like, I thought I was rich at that point. Do you know what I mean? I was thinking, no way. So seeing that alone, thought, do you know what I mean? I don't want to get into the 9 to 5. I just want to continue my entrepreneurial journey. Do you know what I mean? And even though I was around a negative environment, in a sense, or not, I wouldn't say a negative environment, because the people that were doing things, I wouldn't necessarily say that they were negative, but they was doing what they had to do that they thought at the time was to make ends meet. And seeing their kind of like hustle in what they was doing, I just thought, I need to do this in something positive. Then that's how I got into my entrepreneurial journey.
Wow. Just, there was so much in what you just said, like, in particular, going to the Caribbean at 14 years old, like, I can't even fathom just leaving what I've always known and loved, and just changing everything and just going to the Caribbean to live, and being greeted with a different kind of set of rules and a different culture. Yes, we come from a Caribbean culture, and we understand the food and the music and all that good stuff, but in some ways we don't understand the extreme poverty that's out there. And also, like, it's just different academically. It's different schooling.
100%,
What was your
100%.
academic journey like there?
It was crazy. It was difficult because you go there and because you think you're from England, they just put you in top sets or everything. Like,
Wow.
oh yeah, but over there, I'd say the work's 3-4 times as hard.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Like the kids over there, honestly and truly, they are academically, they are on the next level.
And also remembering that you was dyslexic as well.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like, how did you manage, like, that being out there in that space, you know, when the children are academically, blessed.
Yeah.
And you've got a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Like, how was that? Like,
yeah, it was like I said, it was difficult. Again, I was there and I worked harder. So, you know what I mean? I just thought, well, this isn't working either. Do you know what I mean? And I was struggling to adapt to the discipline over there. You could imagine here, like, it's free. Do you know what I mean? You see, if you talk whatnot, you get kicked out of classroom. But over there, if you mess around, I got beat with cane when I was over there. Do you know what I mean? For not having my uniform, right?
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? And I'll never forget, man.
Wow.
The day that happened, I was just like, no way. Like, Mom, what are you doing? You're sending me over here to get licks. Like,
wow.
so that was crazy. But not one of the best things that I did learn over there was I learned a lot about culture and our culture as black people. And that's what I love the most, because over here, we don't get that. Over there, it's not about slavery or the fight to justice. They take it way back. The great inventors, they talk about the Moors that civilized Europe. And it's that deeper black history that you learn. Do you get what I'm saying? And getting exposed to that made me feel a bit more empowered as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what? That teacher told me that I'll never amount to anything. Like, look at these people that have came way before us. Because over here, you just learn about, Martin Luther King and, Rosa Parks, which is amazing. But before that, there's history. And I think we need to start teaching our, younger generation those things as well. So
definitely. So fast forward then. So you've went to the Caribbean. You've came back. What did you do when you kind of came back? Did you go to like college, university? Did you pursue higher education, or did you go straight into business, or was you doing both? Like,
So what happened was I was at college, like I said, my first business venture. I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. From there, I read other books, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and all these amazing books. I started to get my mind right, and then I started to feel, you know what, I've got something here. I was growing my electronic business online. Again, like I said, I was in quite a tough area. So I'm not too sure if people were getting jealous of me or people finding about what I was doing or whatever. But, one of the hardest times was when I was living with my auntie. It was probably like, I can remember it was just before Christmas, a cold night. I remember coming back from college, going home, and just as I was about to lay my head to bed, I just heard a massive bang on the door, and my auntie just started screaming, and she was just like, Cordell, there's people outside.
wow.
And I was thinking, what is going on? So, as your heart's beating, I'm thinking, what is going on? I've gone outside, people just shuffling around, people went around the corner and stuff like that. I was like, what is going on? I thought somebody was playing a trick on me. Gone around the corner, some masked men were there, do you know what I mean? Grabbed me, screaming at me, putting me on the floor, where's your money, who's in your house, stuff like that. And I was just so confused, man. And in that time, like, I was panicking. I didn't know, have these guys got anything on them? Am I going to die, anything like that? And I remember somehow, out of the will of God, I don't know how I kind of ended up getting out of the lock that this guy had me in. Ran inside my house. Me and my auntie are pressing the door. These guys are trying to kick the door. My auntie's screaming, move. Like, I phoned the police, please go away. And it was difficult, man. It was difficult. But in that moment, it was kind of like I had a message, and it was kind of like, life don't happen to us, it happens for us. And I realized maybe I need to separate myself and get myself out of this environment. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I said, I learned a lot from the environment, but somehow I was doing something positive. Never done anything negative. Like, never done anything in actual crime or anything. So I'm like, why is this happening to me? So I thought maybe it's the area, or maybe the surroundings, or the people that I'm associated with. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's just been the total truth. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to start my entrepreneurial journey, because I feel like it might be attracting attention to me. And then I thought, let me just try get to university any way possible. Don't forget, I never had the qualifications. So I'd done everything to try and get back to uni because I wanted to leave the area. So that's what I'd done. Ended up getting, finishing a college course, A-levels in business. And then I went on to Manchester to study business. And even that, again, like I said, I wasn't academic. I just needed to get out of my area. It was more like I got forced to do that. Yeah. Went to uni for 2 years. Didn't even finish my course.
That's where you met your fiance?
No. I met my fiance way before that.
Oh, okay.
Since school times. You remember when I said that I had my girlfriend and stuff like that? My mum took me away.
Oh, okay.
Like,
gosh. we need the tea.
Yeah. So we're talking,
oh wow, so that's
decade plus.
Wow.
Like, you know what I mean? From a young, and to be totally honest with you, I'll tell you the truth. She was like, the main. Even, being so young, she was key. She was really key in my whole journey because just even her living, she lived outside of Birmingham a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So even just that travel got me away from a lot of madness that was happening as well. But yeah, so when I was at uni, was there for 2 years. And then I was just like, I don't feel like this is working for me. Education just doesn't seem to be for me. Do you know what I mean? Again, I suffered with dyslexic as well. I was dyslexic. So yeah, I came back and then I was just like, I don't want to do uni. Dropped out of uni. And then that's when I started my clothing line with my partner, which was, Mungo Sports. Yeah, that was my first official business, if you know what I mean. Like one that I actually registered through Companies House and stuff like that.
And that's still going today, isn't it?
Yeah, that's still going. My partner, it's more my partner that does that now. She still works on that now. She's kind of changing the brand around. But that went quite well when we first done it. Do you know what I mean? It blew up because we had influencers. And yeah, the influencers kind of blew it up for us. It was good. It was making money. But me and my partner, we was in a housing situation. Like, we was renting and every place we rented was just terrible. Things just started happening. So then we come to a decision where we was like, we need to buy a house. So we literally, all the money that we made from our business, we was like, okay, do we reinvest and go all in again? Because that's what you have to do as a business. Or do we save this money and buy a house? And that was the decision that we felt like we had to make at the time. From there, I set up another business, which was We Shine Together.
House is beautiful, by the way. I'm just
thank you. It was literally a house that I visioned. Do you know what I mean? And we'll get into that in a bit, like manifestation. And that was something that I manifested. I'm just a bit annoyed that I didn't manifest a mansion with a swimming pool because I would have probably got that. Do you know what I mean? So then we set up a company called We Shine Together, which is a social enterprise, and we was doing fundraising campaigns for charities. That went quite well. Grew that to a 6-figure company. From there, I dabbed in. I thought, I want to speak to the next generation. No, man, I feel like that's one of my callings, and I went into speaking. And the speaking aspect has took me through doors that I wouldn't have thought I would have probably been in. It's allowed me to meet people. It's allowed me to get, praised by people that I would never thought I'd get praised for. So yeah, it's been a mad journey.
Yeah, amazing. Like, and I witnessed your journey firsthand, and I'm really privileged to just even see kind of some of the stuff that you've been doing. I mean, every other week something's happening on your social media, whether it's just Idris Elba just giving you a shout out, or whether you're having a meeting with Lionel Richie, or just general, like, and I'm in awe, like, by your tenacity, and I kind of always knew. Because like, even from like back in the day, like I remember like all you guys was just used to like be on the street, like just literally selling and just however way you can, you're just standing up there and you're just selling and selling and that's the kind of tenacity that you kind of need as an entrepreneur. You need to have that hustle in you 100%. And that kind of and the example that I always give, obviously, rain, sleet or snow, you're out there, and to me the weather dictates the challenges.
100%.
Something happens just because there's a challenge that you've got to push through it, and you've still got to get out there and
100%.
do your shit.
And what you've just said there is key, because I say this, like, like I said, when we set up our fundraising campaign company, I say this to my sales staff all the time. I always used to say, listen, despite the weather, if it's raining out there, that means there's a lot of salespeople ain't going to be out there today. So this is an opportunity. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's being able to see opportunity even when times are hard, or when you're in devastation. It's about trying to reprogram and rewire that mind to focus on things that you want in life. Do you know what I mean? You can create your future and create your destiny through belief and thought. I really believe that, because that's what I done.
Yeah. So speaking about that, like I know we touched upon it earlier, and I know one of your key kind of themes and messages and passions is about mindset, but
100%.
is about transforming mindsets, particularly for people who have come from disadvantaged backgrounds or may feel like there's a ceiling above them and they can't surpass that. And I know that you work extremely hard to, I guess, shatter that ceiling and to dispel that myth. Talk to me a little bit about why mindset is so important and why you're so passionate about delivering that message and changing people's mindset into more of a growth mindset.
Yeah. I got passionate about it because, you know, a lot of people that are, you know, even some people that I came up with, you know, like I was excelling one way and some people wasn't excelling at the same rate. And people used to ask me like, Cordell, what are you doing? And I was thinking, I'm not actually doing anything amazing here. But what I tapped into is my mindset was a lot different to, you know, a lot of people that I was around, a lot of my peers. And, you know, like I said, when I was younger, I started to read books a lot. Self-development literally has changed my life. And I've been, you know, involved in self-development for the last like 12, 13 years, since I was 15, 16 years old. So when I was reading books like Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Power of Now, you know, The Magic of Thinking Big, all these, when I was taking all these gems and actually applying it, because a lot of people buy books, right? And they pull it on the shelf, do you know what I mean? And it's instead of self-help, it's actually shelf-help, do you know what I mean?
I like that.
But it's about, knowledge is power, but it's only real power when you apply it, do you know what I mean? And I started to apply things. So, you know, understanding, you know, changing your mindset. How do you change your mindset? Because a lot of our behaviors now is 95% from our subconscious programming, and we take a lot of our programming from our environment, and the first 0 to 7 years of your life is very, very crucial. Do you know what I mean? And when I started to understand these things, I was like, okay, well, that means I'm running off that certain programming. In order to change my life, what do I need to do? Because people do the same things day to day expecting a change. It doesn't work like that. You have to change your mind first. Rewiring your mind is the most important thing. How did I do that? Understanding things like, you know, the RAS, the reticular activated system. Because, you know, we hear this thing called the law of attraction. And sometimes it can get marketed in this big fluffy way. You know, you think of a pink Lamborghini, you're going to get a pink Lamborghini. It doesn't work like that. But there is something called the RAS, which is your reticular activated system, which is the filter between your subconscious and your conscious mind. It's actually, you know, it's in your brain. And when you start to focus on things that you want on a day-to-day basis, or when you start to visualize things that you want, like actually taking 10, 15 minutes out every single day to visualize something, what happens is your mind, when you're out and about, starts to look and scan the environment for things that's associated with that visualization or that emotion. Do you get what I'm saying? And this isn't law of it, this is real. Do you get what I'm saying? And okay, for instance, let me give an example. Have you ever been to a car showroom, right? You go into the car showroom, you see a car that you like, you get emotionally attached to it. You know, I love that car, but you don't buy it that day. You go out, you start to see that car everywhere. Do you get what I'm saying? That is the RAS working for you. That's your reticular activated system trying to scan the environment for things that you want. So when I started to do these things, I started to put daily practices in. At 16, 17, I was writing my goals down. I was visualizing, deep visualization as well, because I realized this is where the power is. You can change your biology by the way you think, through your belief system. But the only way you change and rewire your mind and rewire your mindset is through repetition, through habit. So you have to do these things on a daily basis. So one thing that I do every single day, like I've been doing it for the last 5 years, I write down my goal in the present tense 15, 20 times before I even leave my house. Do you get what I'm saying? I am now happy and grateful that I'm an international award-winning motivational speaker. I wrote that down 2-3 years ago.
Wow.
3 years later, I'm now an international award-winning motivational speaker. And that's because I focus on what I want. And when you start to focus on what you want, you go and get it. And then you just make a method for it as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's good doing the visualization, but then put your systems, your processes and your tactics in place too.
You know what? I love that. And I think for all of our listeners who are listening to this, what you just received is a whistle-stop masterclass in in kind of elevating your mindset, because we hear a lot, and a lot of people just put mindset down to like law of attraction, and we hear this thing about, you know, oh, it's all about, you know, what you put out is what you get back, and it's really hairy, fairy, and fluffy, and you know, you should read The Secret and blah blah, and for me, it's not enough. And I'm going to be really controversial here. Like, I read maybe a few pages of The Secret, and I was like, this book isn't for me.
100%.
And like personally, I'm kind of like a God-fearing man, and my secret is Mark 23, 24 and 25, where it says if you want something, you need to pray on it and you need to have faith. 100%. And if you say you're going to get the house, God's going to make you get that house. 100%. And that was my law of attraction. That was and that still is to this very day.
No, 100%. And I made that.
And in the same way that, you know, it's about, like, just for me, it's about praying on it, and it's about having faith, and it's about believing in your very being that you can be this, or that you're going to get this.
100%.
And I just think it's really, really important that we have something where we can say, like, it's innate in us that we absolutely believe that we're going to get something called we deserve. Because that's another thing, like,
100%.
A lot of the time, particularly people like us from, you know, the inner city, who are from a minority background, because we don't see people who have, we kind of like, well, we don't deserve, because we don't see that representation or that example. Because
that's what we do. And that's the thing. People are limited by their environment, what they see. But it's about believing in the unseen.
Powerful.
Do you know what I mean? It's about believing in the unseen. Like you said, me too. I believe in God. I believe that as human beings, you know, we are created in God's highest form, in his highest self-image. He's gave us already 50%, which is life itself. Do you know what I mean? Now we have to repay that by putting in the work. Do you get what I'm saying? You're not going to be able to sit down and things come to you. It don't work like that. Do you know what I mean? It's saying, God, this is not fair. It's you've got to go out there. You've got to put in the work as well. You've got to learn from your experiences. But what the problem is it's the way we program from young. Do you know what I mean? Like, we get protected by our parents. Do you know what I mean? Don't go there. Don't do that. Do you know what I mean? The run as soon as we fall over. You're right, pushing off our knees. But the way that's making us comfort. It's making us get comfort. Do you know what I mean? And we have to be able to reprogram that. Do you know what I mean? We have to really learn how the mind works and rewire it, because everything starts from the mind. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything.
So just being, because you know me, I'm really pragmatic and practical, and I like proper gems that people can take away with today. So in terms of like reprogramming your mind, would you say that one of the things would be changing your circle, or moving out of the area, or like exposing yourself, reading more? Like, what are the practical things that people can do in order to change their mindset?
Definitely. I think, like you just said, peer groups are key. Do you know what I mean? I've been lucky enough to be around some amazing people like yourself. And, you know, whether it's meeting people like Lionel Richie, you know, speaking for Prince Charles, you know, being connected with people like Richard Branson.
I forgot about Prince Charles. It wasn't even in my intro, but carry on, sorry.
And I've spoke to a lot of amazing people, and I've been obsessed from a young age. What makes a high performer a high performer? Do you know what I mean? What are the minds of these people? And one thing is key, like you just said, they're peer groups. Being around people that are already ahead, that have got what you want, and that are possibly 1,000 steps ahead of you. Do you know what I mean? That's how you learn. Being around positive people. The thing is, like, people think, oh yeah, positive thinking, negative thinking, it's a joke. But when you actually look like behind the science of it, like, negative thinking kills because it creates stress. 95% of any doctor visit is actually stress related. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, when you stress, your body's in a mode of, you know, flight or fight. And when that happens, what happens is your body's shutting down. So like you where all your energy goes, which is in your digestive system, right? It shuts it down to push energy into your arms and your legs so you can run away from stuff. Because back in the day, we used to run away from tigers and stuff like that, right? So when you're constantly in the flight or fight mode and you're creating these stresses, like, you're going to create disease in your body. So negative thinking and positive thinking, don't just let it fly over your head. Like, people don't explain these things properly, but it's a matter between life or death, honestly. Do you know what I mean? Wow. And it's like positive thinking, it's going to create, you know, dopamines and, you know, good things for your body, your mind and body connection. Do you know what I mean? And being around the right people is key. And that's what I had to do. I had to separate myself in order to elevate myself. Do you get what I'm saying? And I think that's important as well. So that's number one. Number two, like you said it before, belief.
Mm-hmm.
You have to believe that everything is possible. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Belief is the key thing. And I believe, you know, neuroscience shows that it can change your biology. It can change, you know, the things in your body as well, like in a positive manner. So having the right belief, it's not fake it till you make it. It's more act as if. Do you know what I mean? Act as if you already have it. Do you know what I mean? And do you know what I mean? I think that's what I've been able to do. Do you know what I mean? So when I'm walking into a room of important people, I don't minimize myself to anybody. Do you know what I mean? I believe everybody's equal. I don't minimize myself. And people, they see that confidence in. And then that's how I end up getting opportunities. Do you get what I'm saying? So act as if you already got it. Number three, I think, which is a key thing, which is, it's probably common sense, right? But sometimes common sense isn't common practice. Do you know what I mean? But look after your health. Do you know what I mean? That is completely key. If you want your mind to work right, you need to look after your health. Do you know what I mean? Are you drinking the water? Are you eating the foods? Are you exercising? Is your mind getting that oxygen? Your brain is the most important organ in your body. So look after it. People look after the physical, what they see on the outside. Everyone looks after their aesthetics, but no one's really looking after their inner, their mentals, their mental jewels. But this is what controls everything. So you have to look after it, right?
Incredible. Oh, this is just... There's just so much. I just don't even know where to begin. And you did say a lot in that. And one of the things that I picked out was the whole kind of self-actualization, because I think for me, you have to see it in order for you to become it.
100%.
And like, there's so many occasions where, you know, I've seen that I was going to have this business, or I've seen, like, this podcast, for example, like, initially I was like, oh no, I'm not doing a podcast. But then I had to see it. I had to draw it on paper. I had to write down the guests who I was going to be speaking to. Even before I started the planning, I needed to see it, and I needed to see, you know, me sitting in this seat and, you know, speaking to the guests. And I just said, like, I know I've had amazing guests on the podcast, and I'm due to interview some amazing guests. And I was like, if I don't have these guests, I'm not doing it. And I had to see them, like, sitting there and me conversating with them, because if I didn't, then I wouldn't do it. So I think self actualization is huge.
It's
and
key.
I just thank you for kind of
It's key.
Reinforcing that.
And it's just amazing to see, like, you know, looking around the whole setup, like, this is a manifestation of you and, you know, the team as well. Like, this is your manifestation. And I remember when I wanted to become a motivational speaker, I used to sit down, no word of a lie. I used to put on mute headphones, and I used to listen to crowds clapping.
Wow.
You know, crowds clapping, like, on stage. And I used to visualize myself after a keynote speech and people just standing up, giving me applause. Do you know what I mean?
It's deep. Coming
later, I'm now a motivational speaker. I've spoke for massive companies like KPMG. I've spoke for places like Facebook, many companies. I've also, you know, spoke for Les Brown, one of the biggest motivational speakers in the world, in front of 30,000 people online, which was incredible. Spoke for Prince Charles. Like, these things don't, like, if you looked at my background, the teachers told me that I wouldn't amount to anything. Do you get what I'm saying? So I've had to do all this self-actualization. And like I said, I've spoke to a lot of people that are, you know, doing well. And I always like to know, because genius leaves clues. Do you get what I'm saying? So I like to see what they're doing. And it's very similar. Do you know what I mean? They had to believe it and actually, like, visualize it before they got it.
So you do so many different things, like, and you wear so many different hats. And I know that the social enterprises is something that you're really passionate about, and it's and actually it's international. Like, you're doing work, amazing work, like, internationally. Speak to us about the We Shine Together group and what you do, and even kind of like the event side, and how you're still kind of ploughing back into the next generation, just in terms of business and entrepreneurship. Like, it's really inspiring, and I want you to share a little bit about kind of what you do in that space.
Okay, amazing. So we've got a social enterprise, a CIC, We Shine Together. Now, the reason why I started this is because, like I said, when I went to the Caribbean, I seen kids in extreme poverty, you know, that were working very hard, but they never necessarily had the resources to excel to where they needed to. Do you get what I'm saying? If they'd apply that work ethic here in the UK, it might be a different story. And, you know, some do travel abroad and, you know, get further education if they can afford it or their parents can, but a lot don't. So there's a lot of talent over there that can get wasted in a sense. Do you get what I'm saying? Because they don't have the right opportunities. So I always had that as a passion. I always said, listen, when I grow, when I build a business, that's something I want to do. I want to kind of give back to that. So we started We Shine Together, which is, like I said, a social enterprise, and we work in 3 key areas, in youth employment, youth development, and international development. Now we've done work in places like Zimbabwe, Nepal, and India, where we've sponsored, you know, kids into education. We're just setting up a project now called Virtual Classrooms. So we're currently building a classroom in a school in Jamaica, where we're basically going to set up a whole virtual classroom so they can get extra curriculum. We're doing that in Gambia and Nevis as well, which is amazing. So yeah, that's one part of it. The other part is, you know, we provide employment for young people. So I have, you know, jobs that I try to give to, you know, younger people. And we also do work in schools as well here in the UK, which I do a lot, where we go into schools and, you know, we set up workshops to help young people not just reprogram their mind, but raise that belief system as well, so they can actually believe in themselves, and understand that even if you're not, because I just felt like, you know, I never had that option. No one told me that. I just thought, you know, if I fail at school, I'm going to fail in life. But even if you're not academic, or you're not, it's this kind of like environment and working for you, there's still other options. And I show entrepreneurship and is one of them, because there's so many young people in the education system that are so creative these days. Do you know what I mean? And now more than ever, like, you can start your own business from your phone. Do you get what I'm saying? And the young people know that now. Do you get what I'm saying? So the more into it. So when I go into the schools, I'm giving them that extra, you know, that extra curriculum that they need, because let's face it, the school system, it is outdated now. Do you know what I mean? Massively. And it's outdated. They're not teaching mental health. They're not teaching mindset to our young people. They're not teaching about relationships, real life skills. They're not teaching these things. And I remember,
but they're teaching you Pythagoras. Whenever we ever used, like,
exactly, and the periodic table and all these things, right? Like these things that we don't necessarily use. And I remember when I went down to 10 Downing Street, when I got invited down there. I think who was the Prime Minister then? I think it was.
See, we just chopped it in, like, we went down to 10 Downing Street, like it's just like some kind of street down the road. Like, for those of you who are listening who are not from the UK, 10 Downing Street is our equivalent to the White House, where our president lives. Well, not president, our prime minister, lives in, you know, at 10 Downing Street. So let's talk to us about how that happened. Like, what?
Yeah. So what happened was there was I think there was a youth summit going on. I think Theresa May put it together. And don't get me wrong, like, if I have to be completely honest on this podcast right now, because this is all truth, I reckon it was something that they used to tick boxes, right? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Get a lot of people from, you know, the communities and the backgrounds. Let's make everything look good. You know, different cultures in there. Do you know what I mean? We know what it is. But anyway, I got the invite because of some of the work that I was doing in the community, some of the work that I've been doing with the Prince's Trust as well as an ambassador. So they invited me down. And we went down there and we were speaking around youth violence and opportunities for young people. I got into a conversation with the Secretary of Education, and it never went too well, because I was asking him, well, what can we do? Because this is what I do. I go into schools, I deliver these certain workshops, but we need, instead of me just going into a school and delivering a workshop for a day or a couple of days, we need something that's actually in the curriculum. Do you know what I mean? And he was like, maybe we could do life skills, or cooking skills, because that would bring out good life skills. I was thinking, cooking. So what, you want more cooking classes? I've just shared everything that I teach around mindset and, you know, changing the belief system, and you want to, you know, bring in stuff around cooking. So I was just thinking, if he's the head of our education, that means there's no hope, really. Do you know what I mean? And they ain't got no plans to change it, because at the end of the day, the education system creates workers. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's what they want, and it creates workers instead of, you know, helping young people create their own destiny or create their own economies. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Amazing. Just incredible. So, like, your black book, I'm going to describe it, is just huge. Like, you've connected with who I would call, like, A-listers. in the UK and also internationally. Like I know we mentioned Lionel Richie already, and you know, you got Ashley Walters and like Prince Charles and just like, and when I remember just like speaking to you last month saying, oh, I'm doing this event and like I want somebody from the Prince's Trust to, you know, be a judge and be an ambassador. You was like, oh yeah, I can get the chief exec. And I'm like, for the Prince's Trust? He was like, yeah. And then like the next day we had a meeting with the chief exec from the Prince's Trust. Like for me, you don't get that kind of sway like with some of these big hitters unless you're authentic, unless you know you're pure, and unless you're actually doing the work. And how important for you is networking and is kind of connecting with, you know, some of the people who are, I guess, you know, elite in what they're doing, and like, you know, some of the world's most, you know, talented people, and you're connecting with them and networking with them. Like, how important is networking?
I think networking it's key. It's everything. It's a massive part of my success. It's a massive part of other people's success as well. And let's not lie. Like, I learned networking from you. Do you get what I'm saying? I understood networking, but when I've seen the way you've, you know, throughout your career and the connections you've had, that motivated me to understand your connections are key. I couldn't go to a meeting in Birmingham without your name being mentioned. Oh yeah, do you know True Pal? I'm like, yeah, I do know True actually. He's actually one of my good friends. And that kind of gave me, the meeting used to start nice. And I was just like, wow, like personal branding is key. Do you know what I mean? I started to work on my personal brand. Networking is key. And yeah, I have been able to take it to a next level with some of the people that I've connected with. And like I said, I think it's key. Like, if somebody said to me now, would you rather £1 billion or 1 billion contacts? I'll take 1 billion contacts.
Really?
Yeah, because I could all ask them for £2 each. Do you know what I mean? That's 2 billion then, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But the opportunities that you can get, do you know what I mean? They say that you're 6 people away from the person you actually want to know. Do you get what I'm saying? So anyone that you see me with, or that you know that I'm connected to, you're one contact away because you know me already. But when it's called tap routing. When you look at, okay, that person's connected to that person knows that person, and then that person knows the person I'm trying to get to. So
I need to work out how I can get to Beyonce. Like, listeners, what 6 people out there are you? Who are you that can connect me to Beyonce?
So you know me. I'm really close to, you know, one of Lionel Richie's good people. Lionel Richie must know Beyonce.
Yeah.
So how many contacts are we aware? Is that like 2? Do you see?
Let's make it Lionel Richie.
There it is.
Where are you? Like,
and listen, that's the blueprint to networking as well.
Yeah.
Building relationships is key, but being authentic as well. Yeah. Being completely authentic. I don't walk into any room changing the person that I am. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I might have to move a bit more, a bit different in terms of the way I conduct myself. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I can't just act like I'm lounging around with my friends.
Yeah.
But I don't change anything. My core values are my core values, and they stay the same.
And I think that's really, I think that's so important. And one of the things that I would always carry with me when I'm networking, I do not try and change. I am authentic to myself. Some people may not like it and some people may like it, but I'm completely comfortable with who I am and what I can bring to the table. And I think that's really important, because I always say, like, it's so important for us to be the real us, because it's easier to be the real us than to be, you know, the fake somebody else. And I think that's, you know, it's so hard to be somebody else. Like, why would you want to? Why would you give yourself all that work and then people can see right through it? Like, it doesn't make sense. So always be like, tip number 1 when networking, just be authentic and just
100%.
Bring your true, no pun intended, self to any like situation, because honestly, people would connect and resonate with who you are,
100%,
and what you've got to offer.
And listen, like, you can't please everybody. So what people try to do really is they try not to be themselves, because they think, you know what, if I be myself, not everyone's gonna like me. Like, no one's ever gonna. It don't matter who you try to pretend or what suit you try to put on. Not everybody's gonna like you, but you will create your own tribe, and do you know, your vibe will create your tribe. Do you know what I mean? So put out your energy, and you're gonna connect. There's gonna be some people that love this podcast. There's going to be some people that don't love this podcast, but you're going to have you just want to focus on the people and your core following, your core tribe, and do you get what I mean? And help work on impacting their lives. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not everybody's going to love you or, want to be your friend. That's just how life is.
Yeah.
Everything is polarity. Do you get what I'm saying?
Of course.
You have to look at everything on two sides. No negative comes without its positives, and no positives comes without its negatives as well.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Definitely opposites. So we're speaking a lot about kind of impact and impacting other people's lives, and I know that you've got now a up and coming project with the legend they call Linda Plant. For those of you who do not know Linda Plant, Linda Plant is the that shrewd business woman. I think it's one of Sir Alan Sugar's kind of like judges or one of the gorillas for the final five,
Of
like
The Apprentice.
from The Apprentice, like the actual strictest one of all. And I say this with the most humblest hearts and respect to Linda. Like, Linda is a senior like white woman. You are a young black male. Like, you don't get any opposite
100%,
than that.
100%.
How on earth did that collaboration happen? Like, literally, and speak a little bit about the collaboration, because I think people may underestimate, may think, oh, it's just a meet, but you are literally in business together, like you're business partners.
100%.
How did that happen?
So, again, I was speaking on an event. I was sharing my story, sharing some gems on an event that she was also a keynote speaker on. From there, again, you keep in contact. You keep in contact with the PAs, and you just keep in contact. You don't ask for things straight away, but you just keep in. Just tap in. How are you? Is there anything I can help with? I see you doing this, amazing. Maybe I could put it out on my platforms and stuff like that. Just offer value, and then, eventually, it was a thing where she had a project, and I already had a project similar, and I thought I could add a lot of value to what she was doing. And we got a meeting, ended up through a PA, got a meeting, and I just shared my vision. And instead of me doing this and you doing that, like, I think it would be great for us to combine something and make it even more powerful. She's a multi-millionaire, somebody that has, she was one of the first women to actually put a company on the stock market.
Wow.
She went from selling leggings to multi-million pound housing property company as well. So she's got all these amazing accolades, and then I'm tapped in with the younger generation, the more millennials. So I thought, okay, how do I take her experience with these new millennial strategies and make something powerful? And we started a business academy to basically help young entrepreneurs, not just young entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs in general, that need strategies to take their business to the next level or turn their ideas into reality. And it's not just business, it's mindset as well, because I believe, you can't, without the right mind, you're not going to get anywhere. You only can get so far in business. Do you know what I mean? So we do a lot of mindset work as well. And it's a 12-week program. And it will positively change somebody's life. We've had some great testimonials from it already, from our beta group. And we're gonna really, do our best to, impact the next generation of entrepreneurs and the current entrepreneurs that are finding it a bit sticky, that need that breakthrough. Because the thing is, people don't understand that your breakthrough is coming quicker than you actually think. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Your breakthrough normally happens just as you want to give up. That's how truth it is. Do you know what I mean? And you've got to keep digging until you find a diamond. Do you get what I'm saying?
I love that.
You got to keep digging until you find a diamond.
That's incredible, and another tip actually for the listeners out there who are connecting with with people who are more advanced than them in business or in their own kind of business journeys. When you do connect with kind of some of these serious players, remember that you have one ask. And I think a lot of people think, oh, I've connected with this person, I just want to shout out on my social media, just like, that's your ask on. Like you have to be really strategic when you are 100%. Networking with some of these like serious players, and you've literally only got one ask, and you've got to make sure that one ask is as fruitful, and that you could leverage that one ask as much as possible.
100%.
Do not waste it on a stupid, I just want to shout out, such and such is doing an amazing job. Nah, like, you've got to be really strategic. And I think that you've learned the art of that. And sometimes you hold things back, and
100%.
you wait to play the cards. And in business, that's what you're meant to do. You're meant to, timing is everything, and you're meant to play the right cards at the right time.
100%.
And I think that you have mastered the art of that. And I'm just really excited to see kind of you move forward into kind of your purpose and into your destiny, because I know this program is going to be massive. Like, I can see the, I sat in on the workshop. I was getting my wallet to sign up because I was like, I cannot miss this. But the whole, like, how it was presented, how, how the synergy between you and Linda, and like, it was kind of like that yin and the yang, and where one is weak, the other is strong, and
Exactly.
and that just complements each other. And I just think that program is going to be absolutely incredible.
Definitely, we've got some high hopes for it. It's going to be amazing, and it's amazing. I love what you said about the one ask, because I do believe that's very true. If you are connected with these people, add value first. Don't just run in with an ask. Do you know what I mean? Because it has to be something beneficial. Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
As you know already, which is an exclusive, so we're going to put this out here now. I may have one ask with an amazing person. As you know, I got a letter or a note, would I say, from Sir Richard Branson.
Wow.
Not long ago.
Just pull that up, like, just tell the people again, like, you have a handwritten letter from Richard Branson, Sir Richard Branson, signed. Like, people, just let that sink in, like, just the magnitude, like Sir Richard Branson. I'm going to call him Richard because I feel, because he wrote you, like me and Richard are friends. So I'm just going to call him Richard. So Richard sat down and got a pen and wrote Cordell Jeffers from Birmingham Nechells a letter. Like, what was the content of the letter, and how did that happen?
It was just absolutely crazy. Even to this day, that, like, don't get me wrong, a lot of things that happened to me, I kind of brushed them off, like, oh yeah, because people always give you the round of applause, but they don't see the hard work that you've been doing just to get there. Do you know what I mean? So you was already prepared for that time, but this Richard Branson one just hit me like I just didn't know where that came from. I got a message, an email from somebody at the Virgin team, head of communications at Virgin, and they was basically saying, oh, is this your email? Because we want to make sure, because we've got something to send you. We've seen your article, one of your articles in, I think it was Birmingham Mail, or one of those articles, and it was really inspiring. We want to send you something. So I was thinking, first of all, this could be dodgy. Let me just check this on LinkedIn. Checked out the person name on LinkedIn. Yep, the head of communication. So I got gas now, because I'm like, yo, Virgin, I'm going to be in a campaign with Usain Bolt. Do one of them, one of them broadband programs. I'm thinking, yo, I was, ready to sign get my check ready. Like, how much are they gonna? You know what I mean, but I was thinking, well, what else could it be? And then they sent a letter. Like, it was a signed note. It was like, Sir Richard Branson has seen your article. He was really inspired, and he wants to, send you this. And, I clicked it. It was literally a signed letter. In Nicker Island, where he was, he read my article and felt inspired enough to write to me and say, Cordell, what you've achieved and what you've overcome is amazing. I'm really inspired and so kind of happy that you're inspiring the next generation. Keep going. And
that's insane.
The craziest thing is, when we talk about manifestations and stuff like that, Richard was the first person I read an autobiography on. Do you know what I mean? He was the first person that I read about in entrepreneurship. So it was just crazy to kind of get that recognition from, because it's not like, I don't like, this was even the, that going to his attention. It's just mad. Like, what are the, when you think about the chances of that, like, what are the chances?
It's insane.
Do you know what I mean? And then for him to think, you know what? Because how many does he read? He probably reads a lot of things, but for him to think, I'm going to write to Cordell.
And this is the thing, like,
it's mad.
I'm just like true power, and I read lots of different articles, and I'm always reading and listening to people's stories. I've never ever felt compelled enough to write a letter or even to send an email to anyone. Not that I'm anyone, but I'm just kind of the principle of that. So for somebody like Richard, who is probably stupidly busy, stops in his tracks and just thinks, like, I need to write this guy a letter because this story has moved me to the point where I'm not going to get my PA to do it. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to handwrite this guy a letter with my Rolls 20 carat gold pen, Parker pen, or whatever he uses. But to me, like, that has to be a career highlight. That's mind blowing.
Like, for me, like, literally, that was the first time like something's actually happened, and I was so emotional. Like, I couldn't, like, because it just felt like all the work. You get the applause and say, "Cordell, you're doing so well," and you get family members and everyone, but that was just like solid. That just made me think, you know what? Like, I don't care what people think about me. Like, I've just been co-signed by Richard Branson.
And the thing is, like, let's not get like this twisted. Like, you've spoken and had accolades from Lionel Richie, Ashley Walters, Idris Elba, like Anthony. All these people, you've been given awards. Like, you've spoke to Prince Charles. You're in business with Linda Plant. Like, these things are huge. Like, these things are huge. But then the cherry is to have like one of your idols, like Richard, just
literally
handwrite you a letter, and
literally
that one ask.
Exactly. We have to be very strategic. But the crazy thing is like, I started my whole business strategy. Like, I thought I was Richard. Like, I'm going to set up We Shine Group. I'm going to have We Shine events. I'm going to have We Shine Together, the social enterprise. I've got something else, the We Shine Wellbeing. And I thought, this is how I'm going to do it, because I thought I was Richard Branson. Do you know what I mean? And then, so it's just mad to think, like, he had so much influence on me. And then to get a letter from him. And, we don't know where this can go. Do you know what I mean? You might see me on Nick Island playing tennis. We'll see.
Well, you better not leave me, because that's all I'm saying. Richard, me and you are friends now. Remember that. But no, like, we've spoke a lot today, and we've had gems. A really good deep dive, and I feel like you've given so many gems, and there's just so much stuff that we delved into in terms of mindset and networking and just being your true authentic self in spaces. And I just think, for me, this is what this podcast is all about, really kind of giving up and coming entrepreneurs and even seasoned entrepreneurs a different way of doing things. Which and today has just been amazing. So, but before we leave, we always do this thing on the Creative Entrepreneurs podcast, whereby we do a 10 in 10. So we ask you 10 quick fire questions. It's either or, so you have to tell me like immediately what your preference is, and it's a way of getting our listeners to, I guess, understand you just a little bit more as a person, as opposed to a business person. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
Beyonce or Rihanna?
Beyonce.
If you didn't choose Beyonce, then we would have had problems.
Beyonce.
Audi or BMW?
Audi. I'm a Merc man, to be honest with you, but
it's not in the options.
BM. I'm gonna go switch it to BM actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch it to BM.
Rush Hour or Bad Boys?
Bad Boys. Oh, Bad Boys has to be Bad Boys.
Really?
Yeah, I love Rush Hour. Chris Tucker is funny, but Bad Boys is legendary. Martin Lawrence is one of my favorite comedians.
Really?
It's too funny. National Security. Come on.
Yeah. Martin Lawrence is. KFC or McDonald's?
When I used to eat chicken, I'm pescatarian now, but it was definitely KFC. 100%.
But now it's McDonald's.
A filet fish burger.
Yeah. ASOS or Boohoo?
Do you know what? I'm going to say ASOS just because I haven't really bought anything from Boohoo. So I'm going to say ASOS. But I'm not going to lie. I'm seeing some active wear and stuff like that. Boohoo and stuff like that. Shout out Macau and all that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it looks quite trendy, to be fair. Do you know what? I'm going to go say Boohoo because I'm liking the stuff I'm seeing, to be fair.
Tupac or Biggie?
Tupac. I love Biggie, I love his flow, but Tupac used to hit deep. Dear Mama.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just that poetry, isn't it, Tupac?
Do you know what I mean?
J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar?
J. Cole.
And Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram.
And podcast or books?
Books all day. I love a book.
Yeah.
I love a good book.
Well, that question's going to be interesting in about 3 years' time when podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but do you know what? For me, I like books because I take the information in a little bit better.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this podcast, this podcast is going to be amazing. We can't even talk about some of the things that are happening on this podcast. What are you?
But now, Cordell, amazing Cordell Jeffers, thank you once again.
And can I just say one thing before I go?
Go on.
Like, you are very humble sitting in that seat, interviewing, myself and other people. You've been a massive, massive influence and mentor as well to me coming up, seeing somebody, especially in the inner city, another black man from the same parts, doing what you've done, connecting with who you've connected with and got to where you got to was inspirational coming up. So I've just got to say that before we even close off that. All right.
How do I even compete with that closure? But honestly, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming on. And listeners, thank you for always tuning in. We appreciate you all. And to the next time, I would see you guys later.
Wicked man. Take care, guys. Thank you.